back to An Excuse for a podcast. We hope you'd had a brilliant Christmas, a brilliant New Year, and we're back with a bang. If you've watched our first episode and you're looking, going, oh, that looks a bit different, a wee bit of a different venue, you're right. We're actually in the Pier in Ballock. It's a restaurant in Ballock. Have you been to the Pier before for something to eat?
Been for something to eat, and then 2 years ago was here for a beer garden, a few guilty pleasures, cocktails, and I ended up with my shorts down at the front.
Oh well.
So, aye.
Is that going to happen today? Keep up the talk to
Keep it for later.
No, so it's been a bit hectic last wee while, and also our first episode's out and this is our second episode. And we're here with the one and only podcaster, stand-up comedian, Chalmers.
Brilliant.
I literally have no idea why I'm here.
Well, we'll soon find out. Yeah. How are you anyway? You alright, Sean?
I did in class, mate. I just finished training and that, and then was at the stand and that last night.
What are you
I mate, did a Red Raw. It was my first one doing a Red Raw. I'd opened previously for one of my stand-up idols, Billy Kirkwood,
right.
And it was fucking class, but it's different when you go to a Red Raw because you get 5 minutes and then you get all this mad stupid feedback for them and all that.
So what is a Red Raw?
It's essentially, it's an open mic, or if you're a professional act, you go to try new material, but I'm obviously not a professional yet. So you go there and basically it's like you build all the way up. You do maybe 16 Red Raws, then you get a 10 minutes, then you get a weekend spot, and then...
Is that who you like then, Billy Kirkwood? Because I've seen he's got
mate.
And he done the Scottish wrestling thing, I know he commentated.
He does ICW and that, mate. Billy is one of the best compares ever.
Aye.
So a compare somebody who like MCs the whole night, like introduces everybody to comedy, he's the one in between and all that, all the acts, and there's something just so like infectious with him that you just instantly love him, and he's even off camera and all that way, or off stage, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, man. Aye, mate.
So you've had a bit of a hectic day because Sean's came from his house and all the trains on strike and whatever, so you've had a bit of a nightmare to try and get here, haven't you?
Aye, mate, I should really start driving on that. I'm 26, mate, I've got a fucking driver's licence.
No, but they're like, but they're off every second. You should get a job for ScotRail, just sitting in the house all the time.
Mate, it's brutal, man. Like, I wrote this pure heavy shite joke. I don't know if you don't know it. I says like, the trains this year have had more strikes than the Hollywood Bowl. And I put it into like a fucking yearly roundup thing that, and then I had this mad bit where I was like, oh, the one thing that I really miss about the trains is like, they're just full of wanks. And then people are like, oh, they are like thinking it's people, and I'd be like, I still can't believe I've not been caught.
Aye, so it's been a bit, but you're here now. I'm glad to have you on.
I'm genuinely honoured to be on, man. Like,
we appreciate it, man. We really appreciate it.
Of course, man.
Definitely. What about a Pier? We think you'd come down here for something to eat?
Fuck no, absolutely no chance.
Oh God,
never come here. No, mate, it looks wild. I was surprised, man. I was like, fuck me, man. Fair enough.
That's our first edit of the show. There we go. We've got our work cut out for you, Gordon. No, so that's brilliant. So, what will do? Did you have a good Christmas and New Year actually?
I was just depressed the whole time, basically, so it was class.
See, I'm like that. See, I like Christmas, but then see last night, so I was back to my course today for the first day, and last night I was sitting.
Your course?
I'm doing a gas course.
Class,
so, but
Hitler did one of them?
Well, he's my hero. So
misunderstood.
But he did.
Misunderstood.
But basically, I was sitting last night, and I was just sitting, I was like, the last night of the holidays, I get really just, I think about everything. I was like, I'm such a fucking loser, man. Like,
really?
You're just, and then my girlfriend, like, she looks at me and she's like, you're right.
She's like, yeah.
Aye. She's like, you're right. And I'm like, I am fine. And I just go back to like, fuck, no. What's going on?
What, did you take like hundreds of drugs or something and you come like some mad come down?
Probably. I didn't know that.
Where were you doing here?
See what he said about Hitler, by the way. This is a fun fact I learned on the gas course. See the Valiant boilers? Mm-hmm. They actually built the gas chambers.
Of course they did.
So if you've got a Valiant boiler...
You're a Nazi.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Can we say that, aye?
I use like... Because obviously I know you've watched this and that, and obviously no, but just in case, because like I have been on some things and I've said like a mad mental thing and I've went, what the fuck did you just say?
I've just called Hitler my hero. So I think Jordan's panicking.
One follower on Instagram, one follower. No, that's good, Jade. Well, you had a good New Year and stuff.
It was alright, mate, but because obviously so I'm adopted and stuff like that and I come from care, so it's see like Christmas and New Year and all that. They make that sound very gay, right? But see during like Christmas and New Year, I really struggle because it's like it's not actually your family. It's not actually my family, even though they are. So it's like heavy hard to like integrate with people and all that. And then I went to my missus and she's having this pure class time. I was like, it's pure class, isn't it? And she's like, aye, defo, I just want to kill myself. You know what I mean? It's great.
Well, I made the dinner this year. Like,
did you?
Aye. So
what age are you, by the way?
25.
Jesus Christ.
So I made the dinner with turkey and totties, but it actually went well, right? But see the full day, all I did was cook the full day.
Oh,
and then
mate.
see after it was like tidying up and all that, and it was just a full day, like, no wasted, it wasn't wasted, but you see what you were saying there about Chris, it's like, I'm 25 now, I'm really bored about it. Like, it's
My mum says the same thing every year. Oh, I barely got you anything, barely got you anything. Like, I don't actually want anything now. 22, you know, I don't need anything.
And then, well, see, yesterday I was at the Iron Brew Carnival, took my wee sister.
Just yourself.
What a shambles that was, right? So, also, we're talking, the last episode, my leg went into cramp. So, do you know that thing? It's the waltz. It's not the waltzers. It's a spider or something. It's called. Right. So it's like 4 seats, and then it pure goes like, oh. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm in it. Next minute, the thing starts to go. My legs are in. So I'm like, oh no. My wee sister, what's up? I'm like, oh my legs. So the full thing, my legs in cramp, going round the full show hanging. See, trying to get off it. What a nightmare. But I know. Well, you were saying about potassium.
I said to him, I says, he's like, oh, what's that? And I says, a banana. I says, you can obviously put it in your mouth or up your arse. Either way, you're getting potassium in. So,
as long as you're getting
either way, potassium's in, isn't it? You know what I mean? I don't judge, mate. You do you.
Yeah, as long as you're getting the potassium.
Exactly, mate.
No, that's brilliant. So, Sean, you says you're adopted. So, where did you kind of grow up and stuff?
Well, I've had like three kind of main places where I've like grew up. I grew up in Springburn in Glasgow, obviously major shithole.
Sorry to hear that.
No, mate, it was so bad, man. And then my biological mum left my mental dad.
Right.
Like he was like, it was like, so obviously I had this bit in the podcast where I was like, oh, like during Christmas, we had this tradition where like we'd wake up and we would unbox presents and my dad would box my mum.
Right.
And that's genuinely like, obviously like there's the joke in there like of, the main joke is unboxing the presents, because we didn't have any presents, we did just used to watch unboxing my mum.
That was your thing.
Then she obviously left, and then my mum is genuinely like, all joking aside, she is retarded.
Right.
Like full on retarded. So she's had like 5 kids and she's obviously retarded, so she can't look after kids.
Right.
So then we all kind of get split up and that. But we moved to Millcroft. Millcroft, another shithole.
Sorry to hear that again.
Exactly, mate. But like, I had this story I was doing it, and it's genuinely true. Like, see my next door neighbour, like he had a shotgun, like a genuine shotgun, mate. And I was like, they live in Texas. It's Millcroft. Do you know what I mean? And then when I was like, I think it was 4 or 5, a guy just ran into the house, mate, and knocked me clean out. Like a fucking 30-year-old guy.
You were born for a podcast, mate, by the way, stories you've got.
Mate, like 4 or 5, I was listening, mate, and I'm not even kidding. Like, and do you want to know what the funniest part about it is? Didn't know him. There was no other reason for him to be in the house to do that. He just ran clean into the house, knocked me clean out, mate, at age 4 or 5, man, and I'm just fucking obviously sparked out and just wake up, man, like, covered in my own blood and like, the fuck's just happened? And they're like, it's Millcroft, isn't it? It's Millcroft,
It's a bit like you're allowed to do that.
That's on the sign when you drive in. It's just Millcroft,
it's Millcroft, mate. And I just loads of fucked up shit happened, man. Then me and my other biological brother just basically got put into the same bit of care. And then we went to a place called Houston. It's in Glasgow, and it's like a pure posh area, right?
It's next to Erskine, isn't it?
Aye, but like I'm a fucking mad scheme Wayne. Do you know what I mean? And like we're going to these mad posh people. So I'm there with my brother and we're eating cereal. And obviously because we're retarded as my mum, and we're sitting eating like with the hands like cereal, and the fucking woman goes, don't fucking eat like slobs in here. And my brother like, it was fucking mental, and he goes like, you'll not fucking, no fucking change me and my brother. So he grabs out the plate, launches at her, and then he goes full Mike Myers, and I mean like he chases us, me and her, and I'm like, mate, I didn't do it. Chases us around the house with like a knife trying to stab us. He's stabbing through like the door, like genuinely through this door, and it's like, I'm like, in Halloween the film, he just wasn't wearing the mask. And then he basically got taken away, fucked into a like mad secure unit, and then I'm just to stay in this mad posh area like as a pure scheme win. And then they wanted to adopt me, and I was like, fuck all that noise. But they fucked off back to like, I think she was for like Canada or some shit. They fucked off there, and then I got moved into where I'm now with my adoptive mum and dad. My dad's dead obviously, hence the Fatherless podcast. And I mate, just, obviously I absolutely love my mum and dad to pieces, but it's still a weird feeling.
I know what you're saying.
Being adopted and stuff like that. But that's just basically like what all kind of occurred to me being where I am now. And that's how I'm into stand-up, but you always hear it for comedians, like, vast majority of comedians are fucked in the head, and I 100% am. That's how I don't have any, until I got my girlfriend now, I really struggle with empathy, like, so bad with it, mate. Because,
What do you mean?
like, so, I could watch somebody get murdered, and I would still find some humour in it.
I get what you're saying, there's a lot of folk like that, that's kind of, I'm not saying it's a Scottish thing, but Scottish, like...
Are you like that? But like, know how some people say, oh, I can take anything, you can say anything to me and I'll find it as a joke, but then somebody might say something like that, what you're saying, and they get raging, but can you genuinely just take anything as a joke?
I just don't care, mate.
Just...
See, as long as, like, and see, if you're a comedian and you get offended at a joke, you're a fucking idiot. Because you're a comedian. The whole point is, like, regardless if it's a good or bad joke, right, it is a joke. So, as a comedian, you always have to defend the joke. Like, you have to, regardless if you might not like it. Like, there's some shit people might have said to me, and I would have went, I just don't think that's that funny. But at the end of the day, it's a joke. You try to make somebody laugh. That's all it is. And that's how, like, my style of comedy is your Frankie Boyle, Jimmy Carr, Anthony Jeselnik-esque, like, stuff. Because I always found that when I was growing up, I would make jokes out of the situations we were happening. Like, I just told you a horrific story of my brother trying to stab me, and I'm like comparing it to Mike Myers and like making jokes about it. Obviously, it's extremely traumatic, but at the end of the day, I still would find humour in fucked up things that would happen.
Because Ricky Gervais said something like it's nobody's fault what you find funny. Like, if you've seen an old woman fall over and you laugh at that, that's not your fault that you find that funny.
I would kick her as well.
I'd join in.
No, but I do love Ricky Gervais as a TV writer or movie writer. I think he's the best ever at writing TV shows, or that, because within those TV shows you feel every single emotion. So you will feel humour, you will feel sadness, like, etc, etc. But see, when it comes to stand-up, he forgets that element. So he purely goes off, like, I feel as though when he writes a TV show, it's so thought out and researched, but sometimes within his stand-up, it just feels lazy. And that's coming, right, obviously he can just shit at me and go, I'm Ricky Gervais, get it fucking up, you Sean. I'm like, fair enough, but I still defend Ricky Gervais, like, completely. See where they go, oh, like, he's transphobic, he's homophobic, etc, etc. It's like, but he's not. Like, please just listen and, like, think what you're actually saying. The guy's trying to make you laugh, whether you find it's funny or not, he's still trying to make you laugh.
He's still going out there and doing it.
He's not actually going out his way to properly offend you, because offence alone is subjective.
You take it yourself, do you?
Of course, like, see the same people who got offended at that, they got offended at the transphobic bit, but they maybe not got offended at a bit about cancer, and it's like, because you've not experienced it and you're not offended by it. So you can't, I hate that shit of picking and choosing. It's like, just don't laugh at it, or don't watch it, and leave it.
So where did the comedy start for you? So when did you kind of start, like, so it must have been in your head going, what, I assume it was probably for a young age, but you must have been a bit like, oh, I reckon I could do this, go on the stage and start talking. So when do you think you had that kind of thought about becoming a stand-up comedian?
Properly, like, well, my dad did die, and then I was in a football camp, like, not like the Hitler one, and I went to Mercia. I know you're upset. It's okay, mate. It's Kanye West, isn't it? No, but like, I always had this pure obsession of being like, I wanted to be fucking class at something, right? I always wanted to be great at something, and I thought it was going to be like some sporting thing, but see, realistically, I was shit at football. I thought it was class. I was pretty shit, it wasn't good enough. Like, I wanted to go to America and get a mad stupid scholarship. And that shit, and it's like, and also because I love shooting up schools. That's the reason I wanted to go. And then it just didn't work out. Like, they refused. Like, see, when you're in like foster care, you get like some form of grants. And that's how stupid they are. They went, we'll pay for the expensive part of your education over in America, which I don't know, would you know, like 10, 15 grand or some shit earlier?
Aye, that's a lot.
Right, a year or something like that. They went, we'll pay that, but we won't pay like the £1,000 fee to sign you up. So and I was like, so you'll pay maybe 100 grand all in for like say 4 or 5 years of education over in America, but you won't pay £1,000 a now to sign me up to it. Do you know what I mean? So obviously I just went, fuck that, I'm heavy shite at football. And then we went to like a training camp in Mercia, and I just remember sitting. That sounds very gay. It wasn't a gay thing, right? I was in bed with my mate, right, and we're all cuddled up, and we were watching Frankie Boyle, just like his best bits. And I always remember, like, throughout like school, college, etc., whatever the fuck it was, I'd just be making cunts laugh, because I never cared about anything. Like, see, when it came to like school, I just didn't give a fuck about any form of education. And then it just kind of clicked one day, man, when I was sitting with my mate Ewan, and we were in bed cuddling up watching Frankie Boyle, and he was like, mate, like, you should definitely go do that. Like, go do it, mate, you'd be class at it. And it took me ages, mate, until like I finally went, I want that more than anything. And mate, it took me a year to get a gig, like a genuine year. Like,
How is that? I don't know, mate. Just like no sign up, but I want to do that.
Open mics, you would think that, and I didn't think that as well. I thought I always had this pure thing in your head, like, oh, you have to sign up to a comedy club to go. You can't just turn up to like random bars and do a fucking open mic. Turns out you can. But I put into like the Scottish Comedy Forum about it, and basically I've been looking for a gig for a year. And obviously they went, oh, you're really retarded, mate, you should have just fucking asked this guy. And I said that is Colin Higgins, who had in the podcast as well. He just gave me my first gig, and it was in Jesters where Ross is going to be playing. And it was obviously before pre-pandemic, and I'd done it, and it's like a surreal feeling of like, because I've never felt at home because I'm adopted, but then see the second I'm on stage, I feel at home.
That's like your comfort type thing.
It's the only time I've felt at home was being on stage. Done that, had a very, and I will say this joke was extremely homophobic. Like, Colin's gay, and he even told me after, he went, "Aye mate, as a gay guy I could say it, but you're not gay, so you can't say it." And I went, fair enough mate, that is homophobic. Obviously, because you start off and it's like that pure, you think, like, there's a difference between trying to be edgy and offensive humour, right? And I was just trying to be edgy, rather than thought out, like, see if you're going to do controversial humour, it has to be bulletproof. You actually need to overly think everything and go, is it this, it is? You need to properly dissect it and get it fucking, like, perfect. That way nobody can point holes in it and go, actually, and you go, no, but it's this, mate, and they go, fair enough. But,
you must get that a lot, but like folk just, not trying to pick you apart, but if you say something, folk always jump on the bandwagon.
Always, mate, especially like, I'll finish with the stand-up thing. I did that gig, went to Junkyard, and then obviously we had the pandemic, and I just didn't do anything during it. Like, people wanted to do Zoom gigs, but what's the point in doing a Zoom gig? It's like, the whole point is intimacy with an audience, and I couldn't imagine getting heckled on a comment section when you're doing something live with some kind of like, this guy's shit, you know what I mean? And you're like mid fucking saying something. But and then I just kind of came out, and I got pure heavy bitter, mate, like, about the whole comedy scene. I'm not anymore. I was at the time of like, because I was like, I just seen so much, as people would say, woke comedy, and it was just pure, to me, it was just pure bullshit. Like, the things people were saying, I was like, there's no actual punchline, there's no proper endline to the joke. And then, but what I ended up doing was properly talking to all different styles of comedy. And people are always amazed when I say, like, the first person I watched who I went, I want to do that, I was like 13, I watched Lee Evans. I just watched him and I'm obsessed. Like, I remember his first ever stand-up special, like, not his first, but one of them. It was in Scotland, and I was like, that's mental, somebody from down south wanted to choose that. I know Jimmy Carr did it, like, later on, they did it in Glasgow. But I remember watching him and just going, and I was like, that's one of my main inspirations. But then I have two polar opposites, and it's like, obviously, Lee Evans and then Frankie Boyle. And then it kind of made me think, I was like, you're just being a dick. Like, because you're contradicting yourself. You say you love Lee Evans, but then you love Frankie Boyle.
Side of it. But that's not a bad, like, I suppose you can, I know what you're trying to say, but like, that's not a bad thing. Like, who would you say, so are they your two kind of favourite comedians?
Honestly, mate, I think the only person I would ever get starstruck by would be Frankie. I think I'd cry if I met him.
Have you not met him, no?
No, I was a ballhead away for doing it, so when I opened up for Billy at the stand, of course, trains were all fucked, so I was meant to get the one. I like to show up a bit early because you get the green room experience, you get to fucking have a laugh with everybody. That's some of my favourite times in comedy, when you sit in like a green room with your group of friends and you're all just shitting one another, you're having like joke after joke, having a good laugh. And obviously I came in and Billy goes like that to me, oh mate, you just missed Frankie. He goes, he was in here for maybe like 20 minutes chatting, and I went, oh fucking great Billy, you know what I mean? I went like, I love you Billy, but I fucking love him, you know what I mean? But I stopped that pure attitude of, why are you shitting on other comedians? Like, you want everybody to succeed, because I do, like, genuinely, all my brothers and sisters in comedy, I've never wanted a group of people to actually be so successful. So I was like, it's all just different styles of humour. It's like, some people might not like you, some people might not like them, but there will be people out there who love you.
Ah, exactly.
So that's what I've really focused on, and I just kind of learnt from all different aspects of comedy. And then I just rattled gig after gig after gig, just kept fucking going. So like, I only class myself as being like, officially maybe like a year and a month now, because that's when I actually properly started just gigging all the time. Mm-hmm. Whereas before it was just kind of pandemic and then like a handful of gigs here and there.
You don't know how hard it is. Like, could you do it? I could never do it.
What would you say? What would you right off the cuff when you're on?
Hitler wasn't a bad guy.
As a joke, see, I'd have a storytelling joke. So
you need to be. See, like that's you coming up. Like the people come up and go, "Oh, tell us a joke." Like I don't tell jokes. Like you tell the partner, don't you? Like,
see, if someone asks me but to tell them a joke, I'm gonna sound like a fucking lunatic. So like, if you ask Ross Daly to tell you a joke, right, it'll be kind of storyboard and it's nice. You feel nice after the joke. Whereas if I come up, like, I'm going to tell you about fucking rape, paedophilia, everything.
Just every joke.
You're going to be fucked. Like, you're going to go, this guy's nuts, fuck that shit.
What about you? What's your joke? You want to go first?
Like, if I say, I actually used to be a comedian when I was younger. I walked off the stage because everybody was laughing at me. Vim, vim.
No, I've never wanted to kill myself. So
I've got one.
There you go, tell us.
Right, so there was a guy walking down the street, right, and a wasp stung on the tongue. Mm-hmm. So he gets stung by a wasp, and he walks into a cafe and he's like to the guy, "Can I get a bowl of lentil soup?" The guy's like, "What is that? Can I get a bowl of lentil soup?" The guy's like, "It'll be 5 minutes." So he's waiting 5 minutes, and then the wasp comes into the cafe. He's like, "Oh, wasp!" He's under the table. He's hiding for the wasp. And then the waiter walks by with a bowl of ice cream. The guy jumps up and goes, "Is that wasp away?" He goes, "No, it's vanilla."
I've heard that before, I just knew where he was going. Do you not feel as though I'm doing
you can do stand up?
He's gone. Does this not feel like I'm doing a Make-A-Wish? Like, honestly, what is going on here?
Do you think you could do it?
No.
We'll take over Ant and Deck.
You get booed off instantly. You get booed off by me. I would purposely stand at the back and
Just grab his by the neck, take his arm.
We'll do that.
Mate, I always tell people, I'm like, it's once you get the first initial joke out and a laugh, everything relaxes.
Well, we're fucked then.
Mate, I still get it, man. I was fucking bricking it last night. I brick it all the time, man. Like,
do you get nervous still? I know you've done a few, but do you still get nervous?
That's good, but if you get nervous.
Well, see if you're not nervous, you just don't care. Nerves is basically, your head doesn't know how to comprehend the overexcitement for something, because like, I love stand-up more than anything, mate. I even tell my missus to her face, I says, if I was to choose, like, if your mum had just died, right, and you wanted me to go to the funeral, or I had an opportunity to do a 5-minute set, I would do the 5-minute set.
At the funeral?
Yes. No, but like I says, because if I went to that funeral, the entire time I would be thinking about I could be 5 minutes closer to my dream, and I would honestly resent her. I would resent my man. It sounds mental and it's obviously so unreasonable. I completely understand that, but I told her like from the get-go, like that's what you've signed up for. I says I will always choose that over anything you have.
Well, she must love you to bits if she's staying with you then.
She just knows I'm going to be a millionaire and she's just using me, that's basically it.
That's
See, I think, is it harder here? Because I watch like Joe Rogan, obviously he's pals with like Bert Kreischer and that, do you know them? And you see like all of them, they all do the podcast and like the cooking shows, like Theo Von and stuff, and they always have somebody on who are like that. How are they actually making a career? But stand-up in America must be so much easier because you've got so many comedy clubs and like locations to go to.
That's the main thing. So like say, I don't try to use an example, like you've got this building here and there's like maybe 2 buildings up the road and then another 2 up the road, like that's maybe a 5-minute distance, right? Like seeing like LA or New York, that's like 3 gigs off the bat, like boom, boom, boom. You could go 15, 15, 15, right? Whereas see here, like you're maybe gigging, especially at my level, right? You're maybe gigging once or twice a week, whereas they can do it 3-5 times a fucking night. So they progress so much quicker. And also like, but you need to bear in mind, like we're smaller, like, and New York's fucking huge. Like to even just walk down the street in New York, it takes you like an hour. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
That's when I first realised how fried stand-up is, but because like Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, I don't know if you know them, but they're like rich, they've got a lot of money,
but
rich, mate. But they're still going to like wee comedy clubs like in different like states and stuff. You're like, why are you still doing that if you've got that
comedy
much money?
clubs keep you sharp, that's what they look at. Is like it's easy to, not as easy, I wouldn't say it's a little bit less hard to gig in front of people who want to see you than people that don't. So basically with stand up you go in, I know I do, maybe not them as much because I'm more known, but I go in blind every single night. Every single gig I'm going in blind. So, like, I do not have a fucking clue about the audience. They don't have a fucking clue about me. So I'm constantly trying to win them over every single second I'm on the stage. Whereas, like, a Tom Segura, like, he's fucking known here, like, in Scotland. Like, I'm going to see him as well, mate. And it'd be easier for him to do it to his own crowd. But if he goes to, like, a comedy club and say, he might be a bit less known there, it keeps you sharper because you know the joke hits more because like, people who want to see you will just laugh because it's you, whereas a stranger won't. They'll laugh because it's genuinely funny.
See with that as well, because if you were to go and, like, Sean Chalmers Thursday night at the Pier, and you were to come in, and then, like, people are going to buy tickets because they like you and they want to watch you. But if you're going to, like, the Stand Comedy Club in Partick, and it's just like a mixed crowd, they're going there to see the comedy. They're not really going to see
not
like,
there
you in
for
a way.
me.
You know what I mean? So it must be a wee bit.
Is that who you like, Tom Segura, then, out of that lot, kinda?
I like all of them, mate. Don't particularly think Joe Rogan's funny. Like,
I didn't even know he was a stand-up. I always just first seen him for podcasts, and then I found out he was a stand-up comic. I was like, what?
But yeah, again, that's like purely down to subjective. Like, clearly people like him, mate. He sells at arenas.
The first I ever seen was Bert Kreischer's story about how he's called The Machine.
The Machine.
And I was like, there's no way that's true. But I think it actually is.
Well, it is true. They're like doing a whole, it's like a film but documentary at the same time about that whole
Basically,
event.
he's in like college in America, and he needs to take a class because the teacher's like, look, I need 14 people in the class. You're my 14th student. If you just take the class, you'll get a C. And it's learning Russian. And they go to Russia, and on the trip, he ends up being a part of the Russian mafia at 23.
And robbing his own class.
But is this just a film or a true story?
No, this is a stand-up comedian that actually happened to him, and he's told it.
It's one of the best bits. It's one of the best bits in comedy. It's so well written, and like Joe Rogan inspired him to do that. Like he said, you need to tell that story on stage. He told it on stage and blew him up.
He does self-put a lot of them, but like Theo Von, do you like Theo Von?
I like Theo. He's nuts, mate.
He's good. You need to get into them.
See, I don't know anything outside that.
But I've watched some podcasts. I don't really watch their stand-up, to be fair, but I think they are quite good.
That's what they talk about, but there's a huge difference between being podcast funny and being stage funny. So like Theo Von, maybe when he's on the podcast, he can say all these mad kind of wild stuff, and you go, "Well, that's class," but the comedy might not be utilised correctly on stage. So that's like, because I watched his last special and I just thought it was pure heavy lackluster compared to when like I'd previously seen him do other things. But that's the issue that they've got. Like when you're at that big and you've got like deadlines for specials. Like mate, you need to like a fucking special, man, like an hour worth of material. Like you need to keep attention spans for a complete hour, and you know what I mean. You've maybe got 2 years to write that. It's a lot, mate. Like it took me I'm glad it took me over a year to get my first gig, because the first 5 I had compared to that 5, compared to maybe the 5, 10, 15 I've got now, like it's night and day. Like the first 5 I ever wrote was fucking shit. And then, but it genuinely took me like a year to piece one wee bit together.
Yeah. Did it?
Aye, like genuinely, mate, and I remember sitting, when it connected, I went, how in the fuck did I not get this like a year ago? Like you end up writing jokes and then you maybe leave them and then you come back when you're feeling a bit more creativity, and then it just...
it hits you,
mate, just hits.
Have you ever seen like MD kind of steal some stand-up? Because you know, it's weird how you don't see that much. When you think how many comedians there are, there's not a lot of like, oh, somebody said that before. I think it happened once with a girl in America, that Amy Schumer. She
blatantly like, she stole the bits but tried to word it differently. And then there was like Carlos Mencia. I had a guy who I gigged with, and he did obviously the Jimmy Carr Princess Diana bit. And I remember like he done it and some of the crowd laughed, and then I just turned around to my mate and I went, that's literally a Jimmy Carr bit.
You just done it.
And I was amazed, because I was like, never ever thought I would see somebody do that soon in my comedy career. Like I would see somebody blatantly steal an elite comics bit and try and do it at like a fucking open mic, and he done it, and I just was like, mate, are you aware that that's it? And he went, it was just 'cause I was losing the crowd, and I went, no mate, that's mental, mate.
That was like, well, James Corden done it, didn't he? Ricky Gervais.
Apparently he didn't know, because people write the show.
People write the show.
But
no chance James Corden knew that, mate.
I know.
But still, it shouldn't have been out really, should it have? That's down to the writers.
But people think it's folks, because obviously people think he's a pure prick and people like that. It's just folk out to get him. So somebody's wrote that knowing that he'd get in bother for it, and he did. But
also, you need to remember, like, the people who write for these shows are under an immense amount of pressure, and what is it? It's late night, isn't it? So it's like every night to do a show.
Aye.
So every night you need to come up with a comedy monologue for a guy who's got billions of eyes on him. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So you are so pressured as a comedian. So that guy who wrote that has definitely just went, oh, fuck it, just put this up and just get it to him.
He's been working for the house, hasn't he?
Aye,
He's
mate.
Kelly all day, innit?
I don't see the thing is, I don't hate James Corden. I think a lot of the hate comes from absolute jealousy of, like, this is this wee fat guy who wrote one of the best things ever in English comedy. Gavin Stacey is, I think, fucking tremendous, right? Use me and get shit or wanky, but
I've only seen it a few of them, to be fair. Like,
but then he's done that to then hosting one of the biggest shows in America.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, obviously, when you go to America and you do that kind of shit, you do need to be wanky, don't you? You need to be pure American. You need to, and obviously, I do think probably a bit of fame's got to his head, but I think it would be empty, man.
so you could do a talk show.
Fuck no. Mate, I don't think I could get through sitting with a talk show without genuinely swearing or anything.
no, well, what, fuck, it is what it is, as you say, but if people like you, they like you, and people watch, I think you'd be good at a talk show.
Fuck that. I like the pure ownership. Like, I feel as though I do so I learn off all these bigger comedians about what they didn't do. So I'm trying to do what, obviously, Gary Fawlds, Gary Meikle, Andrew Schultz, Shane Todd, have a word, like, they've took ownership of comedy. So they are now the worth to these clubs, rather than the club being the worth to you. I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I'm saying, like, so when I get 10 years into comedy, I will already have a massive fan base.
Aye,
Because of all the stuff I do in social media compared to what all the others didn't do. So say it might take, and this isn't shitting on them, that's just not what they were aware of at the time. Whereas I'm learning for these guys and I'm putting what they didn't do, and I'm putting it into what I can do now.
Aye.
So they may have went 10, 15 years and it's took them 15 years to get an authentic fan base. Whereas it can take me 5 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm nowhere near as talented or ready to be, like, doing what they're doing. But we've seen it with, like, Open Goal. They sold it the Hydro.
I love Open Goal,
maybe
to be
two and a
honest.
half
I
years
get
of
On the
work.
second show, but aye.
But there's 2.5. There's a 2.5 year grind, maybe 3, of doing social media, and then you've sold out the Hydro. So the way I look at it is, I go, well, I can do that.
Why not?
See, that's the thing, but, like, I think with podcast, nobody's really gave us any shit or anything, but see when Open Goal started that team, and I'm a big football fan, and I understand why, but they would lose a game and somebody would comment on Twitter, get it up, easy, it's what you deserve, and you're just like...
Well, that's what you deserve.
But I think sometimes as well, but, like, see when they sold out the Hydro and stuff and people were, like, getting raging, like, oh, these are just a podcast, but, like, if that was in any other country, they're getting praised like fuck for that.
Well, it's just kinda... I know, like, mate, you've fucking... Who cares? Fuck that cunt. Do you ever the fuck cunt? You've got $250,000 or something for selling that fucking place out. Why you give a fuck, mate?
See, you're actually on about that, right? I'm right in my head what I was about to say. No,
Sorry, mate.
I went and played badminton. I'm into sauna and steam room, right? So I was in my pal Johnny, and
Where is
This
this
is taking a turn.
right,
This is taking a massive turn.
well, but these two guys went in, right? And they ended up, I kind of just started a conversation because it was that kind of weird silence, right? I was like, well, what you up to, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up getting into, I do a podcast, blah, 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 right? Aye. And then we're talking about it, and they were talking about, I'm like, we've had no shite yet. Like, obviously, nobody's kind of slaughtered. We probably have been slaughtered, but it's not been on social media.
Really by me.
And so this guy's like, oh, that's like I can't remember what he worded it, but it was like the poppy thing. So he's like, if a poppy grows tall, instead of all the other poppies trying to reach that level, it's as if a lawnmower comes and cuts it off.
Right.
I know
I have no idea. What are you talking about?
No, but that's what I'm saying. So instead of
Are you a poppy?
No, right, so instead of that's what I'm saying. Open Goal of
At this
those
point,
like,
we're all standing naked in the...
right, so instead of like, this guy will be watching this now, man. You see him, but they're just so instead of like, people try to get to their level, they try and cut them off.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Aye,
I get what you mean. Aye.
Did you get involved that you were playing badminton in that bar?
No, I was
Well, I know, I was like, so I was playing badminton and it just went nowhere.
No, you know what I mean?
Aye, no, but that is the thing, like, we do get a lot of shit on social media, man, but
Do you get heckled a lot? Like, if you ever had like, somebody actually slaughtered
I don't
you?
think anybody heckles me, mate, because I tend to go up with like a fucking mega tight t-shirt, mate, and all my
Mate,
muscles
you're massive.
Oh, thanks, mate.
But
Your biceps are all that massive, I know.
No, but I didn't realise, obviously, when I watch the podcast, I kind of either get a jumper or a jacket, and then I seen probably the shirt that you're specifically talking about, like a photo, and I was like, what the fuck, man?
Loads of cunts always say that. So I always get accused of being on roids, and I just run with it. Just run with it all the time, mate. Like, I mean, I genuinely, for ages, like, all these mad fucking bodybuilders were like messaging me, asking me about cycles. So I was just bullshit, mate, and tell them hundreds of lies.
What did you say to them?
I was just saying that, mate, so I'm like fucking taking like 1,000 milligrams of testing that, and it's like, I don't even know, like, any of this shit, mate. But I'm genuinely fearing needles, so that's how that's how you know I'm natty as fuck, mate. And this is what I don't understand, it's like, even if I was on them, like, I don't compete in anything, and even if I did, everybody else is already on them.
I know what you're saying.
Mate, 99%.
Not us.
No.
Mate, you're jacked to fuck. 99% of athletes are on roids, mate.
I think so, aye.
No, and mate, 100%. Put it this way, like, greatest footballer ever was on growth hormone when he was younger. Messi, that's how, otherwise he'd have been full fit.
Aye.
Cristiano Ronaldo, how is it with age? He gets leaner, faster, quicker, etc.
Well, look at Conor McGregor, UFC. I know he's not on, like, whatever you call it. He's not actually on the fighters list anymore, but he came off it so he could deliberately put steroids into his body.
So he could put
quicker.
so he could get growth hormone and develop better.
A lot more people definitely do it.
Everybody does it, mate.
People get slaughtered, as you said. Like, people actually, it's like a thing. Like, it's like pure people are against it, aren't they? Like,
But they're only against it because the media portrayal of steroids is it's as bad as fucking heroin. It's not.
aye, it's just a fuck.
It's an look, you're talking about so much money is on the line. You're talking about, as Andrew Tate would say, the biggest alpha males who want to beat the other biggest alpha males. So you're obviously going to take, if you can get an inch more than them, you're going to do anything to get there.
You're
Drink Andrew Tate.
He's obviously like, he's a marketing genius, isn't he?
I know.
I like him.
And
I don't. Look, obviously, I can see in how people would be like, right, obviously, 2 out of 10 times, right, he's correct, but the other 8 are just mental.
He does rattle on a bit, but I think some of the stuff he does, like, I know obviously kind of, some of the stuff, like, it is what it is, but I think some of the stuff he says is like quite, it's like not true, but you know what I mean? It's like,
that is the thing.
Like, you can see
No, but it is true.
I
know you're trying to answer it, like, it does have elements of truth, but it also masks that with utter fucking stupidity.
Aye.
Like, see the whole thing of, like, I don't let women drive because of the 2 times I've been in with a woman they've crashed. That's like, yes, mate, that's your personal experience.
Aye.
That doesn't mean every woman ever can't drive.
You see, like, I will say, I don't agree with Hitler before you say it again. But Kanye West, right? Obviously, he said.
Oh my God, mate! Mate, Kanye's
So,
final form is to burn a black guy.
What
at the
he
stake,
said is
innit?
crazy, but then see the other side of it, where it's actually mad. But like, what was it? He had like £50 million of his own money, and like Apple were stopping him for like, using his own money because it says like controversial stuff. I mean, you're just like, that's his money, but
it's also not. That is not the reason why they held the money. There's obviously not. There's something else behind that. There'll be a mad thing. There'll be a mad thing in the contract, right? It's the same way he basically went, all Jewish people are like this, and it's like, no, the experiences you have had, the people just so happen to be Jewish who are there. It's not a Jewish problem, it's a people problem.
He usually fucked himself. He can't even.
Well, he's called himself fucking Hitler.
He can't even bring out a new album anytime soon.
See, he's a comedian, right? So this is where I talk about the whole see the whole fucked up bit where I talk about, like, so he's a comedian, I go, seeing a guy being mentally fucked in the head and saying all this is hilarious to me, but I can also see this guy is mentally ill and needs help, but for purely entertainment purposes, I hope he keeps doing what he's doing.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Many people are watching it.
Aye, mate.
What's he call himself?
Hitler or something. Aye, he's fucking,
man.
He's nuts, mate, but I do want him to get better than that, because there's no way of him ever redeeming anything. Like, he could come out with the greatest album for his next album, and it would bomb.
Aye.
Because there clearly is something wrong with him, because you wouldn't just come out and say that for like anything.
I would do it, mate. I would do it to be like, you know how Sacha Baron Cohen used to do the characters? That's how I would be like, if Kanye was a comedian, right, and he was portraying like a Sacha Baron Cohen character, you'd go, this is acceptable, right, because it's all jokes and it's a character. but Kanye's mentally ill and also semi-believes everything he's saying. That's where the main issue is.
I see when he was on the Alex Jones show and he was like, more of a lunatic than Alex Jones.
It made Alex Jones look like a good guy. And you're like, what? Mate, I was genuinely going to Texas to have Alex Jones on.
Really?
Aye, mate, so obviously, it's the same way, like, so people don't like Count Dankula, right, because he does that Sacha Baron Cohen thing where he goes on, but he does it on Twitter. So, like, become, like, I remember there was, like, a mad terrorist attack, and he called himself, like, Count Habibullah or something, right? It was, like, and he became that terrorist who done that, and he started tweeting all these things out, acting as though he was, like, an ally to the terrorist. And that's where I go, can understand why some people don't like him, right? And some of his politics previously were mental, but I always do this thing where, like, I'm pretty sure, like, if I was to meet Andrew Tate, I would get on with him, but we don't have to have the same views as one another.
Aye.
I've got many friends who, like, have completely different views to what I do, but we're still pals, and that's perfectly fine to be. So that's the same way I feel with, like, Count Dankula. Like, we don't really align politically or much views, but see, aside from that, we get on so well and we're nothing but good pals with each other. But he's obviously been on InfoWars with Alex Jones, he's good pals and all that, and he was going back out to Texas, and I was like, could I tag along and then get Alex on? And he was like, aye man, like, I'll try and set it up and that. So we could have potentially had Alex Jones on.
That's
and
crazy.
I was like, but part of me was like, this would be amazing, but the other part was going, I don't know if you want me and fucking Alex Jones together, like, on a podcast, because it would just be fucking insane. Because I don't really have many boundaries with things. But I always, with comedy, like, I'll say something fucked up, but then I'll obviously bring back the proper rationality side of stuff. But I don't think I could do it with him. Like, I don't think there'll be a back and forth of rationality.
I think it would just be full on.
Oh mate, it'd be too heavy, mate. You'd need to, like, put it behind a paywall.
Who'd be your dream guest?
Frankie Boyle.
Frankie Boyle.
It had to be, mate, but
Who was yours?
Sean Chalmers.
Jesus Christ, mate, I'm lucky, man.
What would your dream guest be?
I don't know.
Pal on the teen, he's already told us.
Pal on the teenage. But I think just maybe to get a chance to, like, get in a bit or something, Dua Lipa.
She's so hot, man.
That would be crazy.
Wow.
Well, yeah, message.
Never know, I know. Nah, she's blocked me.
Fuck that, mate.
So that brings us on to, well, you're obviously saying, well, Eric, we'll go on to that. Things weren't really rosy. Well, you say you've been adopted and it's not been the greatest at times, but I know obviously you want to be positive and stuff, but
HIV positive.
You've already said, so the Fatherless podcast, but you named that because your dad died.
Well, the one Adam, who I do the kind of comedy roundup, we both started this podcast because his dad had hung himself and my dad was cremated, so we thought that was funny. And then we went, we'll call it the Fatherless podcast. And we'd been talking for ages about, mate, that's how fucking stupid we are, right? We were talking about it for ages, like, oh mate, we should have this thing where, like, the camera's just on us all the time and we're just talking all this shit. And we didn't go, oh, here, Barry, that's just a podcast, mate. That's what a podcast is, that's what the definition of it. And we just couldn't get it into our heads, but then we just went, oh, right, man, we'll just do it then. And then we realised, oh, this is a fucking podcast.
It's a podcast.
And we created it together, man, and it's obviously like, there's a joke within it, but it's also like a homage to our dads. Like, I genuinely did love my dad, I still do, and that's the whole point of it. It's like a homage to kind of our dads.
I kind of remember it.
As much as can't think it's just for a pure fucked up reason, it's actually a genuinely nice reason.
The other boy you do it with Adam, does he do stand up now?
He did one gig in Helensburgh, and
it
was brutal, mate. Well, it was a fucking, it was Memorial Day, mate, during, like, in a naval base, and we went to do stand up, and I got him that gig, and obviously I had this bit where I did a bit about people with Down syndrome, and I said the word Down syndrome, and some guy just heckled me with going, fucking Down syndrome. I was like, oh, class man, we are not getting out here. Mate, it was just full of army guys, obviously.
Was that at Fast Lane?
I don't have a clue where the gig was, mate. I genuinely can't remember.
No,
it wouldn't have been in. I'm not sure if she says it at a naval base, was it?
No, but it was like for people who were of the naval base. It wasn't actually. No, fuck that, mate. I definitely never made it out alive.
Did that just completely put him off, just that one gig?
Mate, because, like, think about it, you're going in and you want your first gig to be moderately okay. You want it to be a nice crowd, but we're going in and these guys are fucking mourning all their dead brothers, and I'm going up and talking about how funny it is that they're dead.
I should basically slaughter them into
right. And then, but this is what I always say to people. I goes like, don't ask me not to make jokes about certain things because I'm going to go up on that stage and I will make those jokes because you've told me not to.
Yes, I kind of like, so they've said no, so you're
It's going to be funnier to me if I get those reactions out of those people because they hate it.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like Anthony Jeselnik's got a great bit about that, and he talks about how he went to like a prison, and the prison guard goes, what do you call it, the head of the fucking prison, says to him like, right, we don't really want you to be here because it's a jail and all these guys are quite fucking nuts. And he goes, okay, he goes, can I just come up and introduce the band? And as he introduces the band, he says to the warden, he goes, big shout out to the warden, he's going to bring over his daughter and we can basically all have sex with her. And that was basically the whole fucking joke about it. And that's what I mean by that. I'm like, if you're going to tell me to do that, I'm just going to do what Anthony Jeselnik did, and I'm going to make jokes about that situation.
You're going to kind of bring it up. Exactly. That's kind of, that is like a human thing, but an instinct kind of.
So if somebody says don't look down, you're going to look down.
Don't drink this weekend.
So that was his gig in Helensburgh. So I seen a video of your worst gig, Motherwell Stadium. You'd blow it up.
100%, mate. 100%, mate. Everyone in Motherwell can go die as well. I hate Motherwell. I fucking hate it
so much,
mate. It is honestly like. It's the worst gig, and I've always got this bit about it, right? And I go, so like Motherwell, it's Club 100, it's various function rooms, and within these function rooms, there was us doing stand-up and ISIS doing beheadings in another one, right? And then I basically say, within it, I'm like, if ISIS, their bombs would have been better than mine. I bombed the entire gig, mate, like, it was so fucking bad, but you're gigging, this is the thing with stand-up, like, you turn up to places and people don't want comedy. So they're not up for laughing, they don't want it, they just want to maybe have a chat and have a light drink, and I'm going up and saying, Prince Andrew fucks kids. You know what I mean? They're like, they don't want to listen to it. So I've done it twice, and I always have this obsession where like, so my second gig ever was at a place called Junkyard. I fucking bombed, but then I went back like 50 or 60 gigs after and fucking killed it. I have to redeem it. See Motherwell? No chance. I've done it twice.
No chance again,
Nah.
It would end, mate, you go back.
Nope, mate, honestly, there'd be £1 million and I'd go, nope.
Do you know stay like 2 minutes away from Motherwell?
Yeah, mate, that's why I don't want to go. I can't fucking stand it. It's just, the whole thing isn't for comedy. And that's what you need. You need a room. Obviously, that's why it annoys me, because I'm obsessed with, like, because you're a comedian, you want to be liked and loved by everybody, right? On that, not even that, with the style of humour I do, I also don't care, like, see, as long as I just get a fucking reaction, I know it's hit, like, the joke's worked. But with Motherwell, man, it's just pan faces, man. You're gigging to The Walking Dead, mate, like, you genuinely are. And I obviously had to make a joke and say like that, most of these won't survive winter, and you just, like, it was straight away, man, it was off the get, man, just bomb.
So where's your kind of favourite place to gig?
Well, I'm wearing like a Kells Kicks Liverpool top, Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool.
Liverpool? Oh, I went to for every September weekend, I stay with my granny and grandpa, so...
Don't need to flex your family on me. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry.
Pretty rude, man.
we used to go to Blackpool, right? Aye. And so it was my ex-girlfriend at the time. So, but we
no.
We used to
don't try and get away from that.
No, she might be watching.
Good.
So,
he's famous now. Get it up, you.
Right, this is going to start a pure warning. Like,
good man.
Right, where am I going with this? I used to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so we used to go at September weekend. So me and my girlfriend went to see this woman in Blackpool. My ex-girlfriend went to see this woman in Blackpool. Funny, right? So brilliant. But she ended up. The year after we went back, she was there again. Like, oh, brilliant. So we went and seen her, but she said the exact same stuff, right? And we were like, I've heard it. So end up, she was in Glasgow. That's her, will we go and see her? Aye. So we end up seeing her in Glasgow. The exact same
thing again.
And I'm like, this has been like in the course of 2 years.
Aye, that's booked. So
she's fooled you 2 3
back
and seen her.
That's the thing where I talk about with like, and Norm Macdonald's got this great thing where, Mark Normand, not Normand, he's dead. He talks about it and he goes, it's like complacency within comedy. You found a safe set, you know it works, so therefore you end up just running it, and that's the death of the comedian.
Aye, but see...
If you do the same shit all the time, like you're not going to... guaranteed you're a fucking retard for going back 3 times.
I know, but I thought...
Like, knowing she's full well going to
The second time of the exact same
But the second time I'm like that,
that.
but went back, I'm like, oh, she's coming to... She must be different, but also, as you say, I'm the only person probably to see it, so she's probably getting away with it for like the last
Mate,
6 years.
I bet you any money... Oh, for fuck's sake. That's the cramp in his leg. But I bet...
Ex-girlfriend get mentioned in shit.
I know. But I bet you any money she's still ran that same set for about 10 years. And that's how she's not hit the next... But she's not hit the next level in comedy. Like if she's just running the same set every fucking time, she's also, like, she's probably depressed as fuck, mate, because it's the same old shit, so therefore it becomes scripted, and the issue with comedy when it's scripted is it's semi kind of fucked, isn't it?
Aye.
Because it shouldn't be, it should be a natural kind of thing that you kind of go with.
There's a few, do you see that's Liverpool, aye?
Aye.
There's a few people who come up my TikTok, boys from Liverpool, do a podcast.
Adam Rodan.
Did you have them on, or were you going to have them on your podcast or something?
No, I just love them, mate.
Oh, do you?
There's a great podcast as well in Liverpool called the What's Happening podcast, and it's done by various comedians, Gary Hingland, I'm very close with. I'm going on in that. So this is where I talk about, like, I'm not just focused on this Scottish bubble. And I learnt that from Alan Anderson, who owns Rotunda Comedy Club. Scotland, we tend to stay, like, comedian-wise, stay within the bubble, and then your humour becomes overly Scottish, therefore it can't be universal, because only Scottish people can associate with it. Whereas if you're going up and down the country, going to various places like in England and all that, you're going to learn what works and what doesn't, and you're going to learn that the overly Scottish humour does not work there.
He is one in Australia as well, didn't he? Is that the same guy?
He's one in Bristol as well.
Mm-hmm. Aye. He's the guy that was just on the Pie and Beans podcast.
Yeah.
That's what you said just before we started filming, your mates with Ross Daly.
Aye, mate.
So, see, we were doing our research, I was going to phone him and go, tell me about Sean Chalmers, but I thought he'd have said something. And I was asking him, just like...
Say I'm a dick or something.
I know, but see if he told me something, I was expecting him to just to go like that, like, oh, say this, such and such, and then you go like, what you want about you know what I mean? So I was like, date myself, but see, what about you're into the MMA, aren't you? So,
mate, love it, aye.
Well, see, you've also, you're kind of in podcast with MMA and stuff.
I've got the father's fight with a professional fighter called Ross Cooper, who is the main training partner with Paul Craig.
Well, see, you've had Chris Bungard on, haven't you?
I've had Paul on as well, like we all trained at the same gym.
Well, see, we try to get Chris Bungard on, right? Well, I try, but, so, you know what it's like, try to get
You want me to get Chris on, is that what you're basically
No.
saying?
Well, wait to hear this, right? Wait to hear this, right? So, I've emailed, I better not say singer because he's coming on, right? So I've messaged a singer, emailed a singer going...
It's Lewis Capaldi, guys, I've got Lewis Capaldi. Right.
So we're like, hello Lewis, hello, blah blah blah, would love to have you on the podcast, talk about being at Transmit, or about your music, a big spiel about, you know what it's like, big spiel about the music. So I'm like, alright, we'll message Chris Bungard. I've just changed the name, so I've emailed Chris, I got his email, I emailed Chris Bungard going, hello Chris, it'd be good to get you on, talk about your music, you at Transmit and all that.
You're a fucking idiot.
And then I looked at it and went,
he's not coming on.
so I looked at it and went, oh no, so just sitting here left it going, sorry mate, doesn't matter, made an ass of that or something like that. never heard that thing since, so...
No, mate, Chris will well be up for it, man. Chris is one of the nicest guys.
But anyway, so the MMA, but it was just a funny story, obviously, we had about Chris Bungard and stuff.
So you do, what is it you do again?
It's called the Fatherless Fight.
Aye.
And I always tell people it's not a charity for orphans.
How's that?
Well, the Fatherless Fight sounds as though it's like a charity for orphans.
God,
man,
you're
you
mad,
just
didn't Whoosh.
No, I just was obviously in love with MMA. I'm not like a mad Conor McGregor bummer. Like I didn't start watching MMA when he just so happened to be in UFC like at the pinnacle at the time. But my first ever fight, I watched Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz, and that blew my fucking mind. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm fucking fully obsessed. And when I'm quite autistic that way. When I get obsessed with things, like overly obsessed. So I just watched basically enough every fight the UFC's ever had, and I wanted a MMA guest on. I mailed Paul. Couldn't get a date sorted, and then Ross, fucking loved Ross. Just seen him fight a few times and that, not live, like on YouTube and that. Mailed him, got him on, and I just realised I was like, we have this crazy good connection. It's like one of the connections, like you'll have it as well. Like a TV company would pay millions upon millions to have that natural connection for a show. So I was like, well, me and Ross need to do it. And then we done it. We've had Paul on, loads of fighters, and it's just kind of built and built, and we've got up here
See, I always
Crazy MMA
watched, just like if I was bored, like, I would watch The Ultimate Fighter, so the TV show.
Aye, mate.
And then, I'll be honest, is when McGregor started hanging me, and that's when I was
McGregor bummer, I knew it.
Aye, not anymore. I don't agree with what he's done the past couple of years, but when he started, I was like, right, this is actually quite good. But I liked like Tony Ferguson and stuff.
Aye,
That's what I liked. He's a
Do you
fucking
like the fact that
lunatic.
he was fucking battering the walls and all that? He
No,
went
but
fucking insane, man.
But it is actually like so good. Look, see the TJ Dillashaw and the Cody Garbrandt. See that mad feud. That was just pure like drama, and I was just sitting back and enjoying
Well,
it.
that's what saved. So what saved the UFC was obviously the Ultimate Fighter TV series, and it basically showed you all these fighters together, and it basically gave that pure reality TV spin towards fighting. So that's what made it great, and that's what's obviously why McGregor became massive, because he brought the like WWE promos to MMA. Chael Sonnen did it a bit before him, but it just the magnitude wasn't there in the patter basically.
Aye, so it was-
And that blew the UFC up, and that's all they want now. They want controversy, words, that word, mixed with you ripping some cunt's head off. And that's basically the winning method for the UFC now.
Do you have like a favourite fighter, or will you generally just any fight that's on you're watching?
Obviously not as a person, but fighting wise, John Jones is the GOAT.
Aye, he is. So I think he's fighting again now. So I think that's happening.
Don't think so, mate. I don't think he's going to come back, realistically,
Really?
man. Realistically, mate.
Is
I
he
just
not
don't...
getting in shape for it, but or is that just a pure myth that he's trying to build for it?
I think he's put on a lot of size, mate. A lot.
I know.
And he obviously can hold his own with heavyweights. He trains with heavyweights. He beat arguably one of the best heavyweights twice when he was at light heavyweight. So it would, I think if he came back, and the only reason he's doing it is so he can get that up on Daniel Cormier. Like, the rivalry never ends, as much as they say it does. So that's the only reason he's doing it. But I think if he does come back, he'll win the title, because he's just, the fighting IQ is insane.
Aye, he's crazy good. Yeah, he's really good. Do you
I
watch
fam-
UFC? No.
Nah, I'm not really.
Nah.
Nah, I've got, even boxing, like,
Just badminton.
Boxing shit, mate.
just badminton and football. That's what it is, isn't it? But we've actually just did the weekend. It's actually flew in this podcast, isn't it?
Shit, man, have you it?
I know I've reached you cured, but what would you say is next for Sean Chalmers then?
Just,
You're supposed to have a gig tonight, but is that off?
aye, that'll be off, aye. I'm doing a gig with Ross at the Glasgow Comedy Festival.
I'd come and watch that.
It's called The Good and Evil. Obviously, I'm the good. But it's basically, because I feel as though like sometimes there could be like a divide within comedy where like it's dark humour with like good humour, like your Lee Evans and Frankie Boyle. But the way I look at it is there's always space for everybody in comedy, and all styles should be together. So that's why it's called The Good and Evil, because you're going to get Ross, who'll do like your Lee Evans-esque, and you'll get me, who'll do like your Frankie Boyle-esque, and you'll get a mixed bill.
So do you just do that together then, or do you just go to do that together?
I'll do it for the Glasgow, I think it's the 19th of March.
Oh, tickets going for it, aye.
Aye, I don't even know if they're up yet. My
Well,
bad.
if they're up, we'll get it on our
Aye,
Instagram.
mate.
But Sean, honestly, it's been a pleasure, and we need to get you back on, because what a guy you're.
Oh, no, mate. Honoured to be here,
I
lads,
know,
man.
it's brilliant.
Genuinely.
But, as I say, thanks to everybody that's kind of tuned in, and the support's been brilliant the last wee while. And a wee, what's his name, Jack? Well done to Jack King, who won his £100 giveaway.
I will be around tonight to get it off you.
Aye, so brilliant. But
Aye.
all right, all the best for the future, Sean,
too,
and
mate.
everything goes well.
Aye.
Happy
Make sure you
days.
fucking subscribe.
Aye, subscribe, like, share, follow,
Aye.
everything. Brilliant.
Cheers.